Have you ever woken up in the morning feeling like you're swimming through thick fog, your body heavy as stone, your mind screaming at you to just stay in bed for 5 more minutes that somehow turn into 50? You know that feeling when your alarm goes off and instead of feeling refreshed and ready to embrace the day, you feel like you're fighting an invisible weight that presses down on your chest, making even the simple act of sitting up feel like climbing a mountain. This isn't just tiredness. This isn't just needing more sleep. This is something deeper, something that modern life has planted in your soul, and it's stealing your mornings, one lazy moment at a time. What if I told you that over 2,000 years ago, ancient Chinese masters had already discovered the secret to transforming these heavy, sluggish mornings into moments of pure energy and clarity? What if the very philosophy that taught emperors how to rule kingdoms and warriors, how to find peace in battle, could also teach you how to leap out of bed with the enthusiasm of a child on Christmas morning? The ancient way of Taoism holds within it a profound understanding of energy, flow, and the natural rhythms that govern not just the universe, but your very own body and mind. You see, when you wake up feeling lazy and unmotivated, you're not experiencing a personal failure or a character flaw. You're experiencing what happens when your life falls out of harmony with the natural order, when you've disconnected from the flow that wants to carry you forward with effortless grace. The Taoist masters understood that laziness isn't something you fight against with willpower and caffeine. It's something you dissolve by aligning yourself with forces so much greater than your individual resistance that your body naturally wants to move, your mind naturally wants to engage, and your spirit naturally wants to soar. But here's the catch, and this is crucial to understand from the very beginning. Taoism doesn't work like a magic pill that you swallow once and suddenly everything becomes easy. The ancient masters were very clear about this. The path they discovered requires what they called Wu Wei, which means effortless action. But before you can achieve effortless action, you must first obey. You must submit to principles that might seem counterintuitive to your modern mind. You must trust processes that don't make sense to your logical brain, and you must be willing to let go of the very approaches to morning motivation that have been failing you for years. Think about water for a moment. When water encounters a rock in its path, it doesn't attack the rock with violence. It doesn't try to force its way through with brute strength. Instead, it flows around the obstacle. It finds the path of least resistance, and over time, it carves through solid stone, not through force, but through consistent, gentle persistence. This is the Taoist way, and when you apply this same principle to your morning routine, something magical begins to happen. Instead of forcing yourself to be energetic, you create conditions where energy naturally flows. Instead of fighting your laziness with willpower, you redirect that same energy into momentum. The first principle you must obey is what the ancient masters called following the natural rhythm. Have you ever noticed that you feel different at 6 in the morning versus 6 in the evening? Of course you have. But have you ever really paid attention to the subtle energy shifts that happen in your body throughout the early morning hours? Taoism teaches that your body is connected to the same forces that move the tides, that change the seasons, that cause flowers to bloom at exactly the right time. When you wake up, you're not just waking up your physical body. You're awakening into a specific moment in the cosmic dance. And that moment has its own energy signature, its own gifts, its own natural direction of flow. Modern life has taught you to ignore these subtle energies. You've been conditioned to believe that all moments are the same, that 6 in the morning should feel exactly like 10 at night, that your energy should be constant and controllable like a machine. But your body isn't a machine. Your mind isn't a computer. You are a living, breathing expression of the same natural forces that move rivers and grow trees. And when you honor this truth, your morning laziness begins to dissolve, not because you've conquered it, but because you've stopped creating the resistance that was causing it in the first place. I want you to imagine something for a moment. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning, and instead of immediately reaching for your phone or starting to think about your to-do list, you simply lie still for 30 seconds and pay attention to your breath. Not controlling your breath, not trying to breathe in any special way, just noticing the natural rhythm that's already there. As you do this, you're practicing the second principle of Taoist morning transformation, which is returning to the source. Before you can move forward with energy and purpose, you must first connect with the stillness from which all movement arises. Now you might be thinking, this sounds too simple, too easy. Where's the motivation technique? Where's the high-energy pep talk? Where are the productivity hacks? And this is exactly the resistance that keeps you trapped in morning laziness. Your mind has been trained to believe that energy comes from doing, from pushing, from forcing. But Taoism teaches the opposite. True energy comes from being, from allowing, from aligning with what already wants to happen naturally. The ancient Taoist text called the Tao Te Ching says, "The wise are not ill, the good are not worried, the brave are not afraid." What does this have to do with your morning routine? Everything. When you wake up feeling lazy, you're actually experiencing a form of illness, worry, and fear all rolled into one. You're ill because you're disconnected from your natural energy. You're worried because you're thinking about all the things you need to do instead of being present with what wants to happen right now. And you're afraid because some part of you believes that if you don't force yourself to be productive, nothing good will happen. But what if the opposite were true? What if your natural state is actually one of vibrant energy, clear focus, and enthusiastic engagement? What if the laziness you experience is not your true nature, but simply the result of swimming against the current instead of with it? This brings us to the third principle you must obey, which is trusting the intelligence of the body. Your body already knows how to wake up with energy. Think about it. You were born with this ability. Watch a healthy child wake up in the morning. Do they need motivation seminars and energy drinks? Do they have to force themselves to get excited about the day? Of course not. They wake up with natural enthusiasm because they haven't yet learned to disconnect from their innate wisdom. They haven't yet been taught to distrust their body's natural rhythms and replace them with artificial schedules and external pressures. What happened to that natural wakefulness that you were born with? It's still there, buried under years of conditioning, under layers of stress and worry, and the belief that you have to force your way through life. The Taoist approach to morning transformation is not about adding more energy to your system. It's about removing the obstacles that are blocking the energy that's already there. Have you ever been so absorbed in something you love that time seemed to disappear? Maybe you were reading a fascinating book, or having a deep conversation with a friend, or working on a project that excited you. In those moments, were you tired? Were you lazy? Were you struggling with motivation? Of course not. You had access to unlimited energy because you were in what Taoists call the flow state. You were aligned with your natural enthusiasm, your natural curiosity, your natural desire to engage with life. The problem is that most people think this kind of energy is only available during special moments, when you're doing special activities. But Taoism teaches that this flowing, effortless energy is actually your natural state. It's available to you every moment of every day, including those crucial first moments when you wake up. The key is learning how to access it, and this requires practicing the fourth principle, which is cultivating inner stillness. This might sound contradictory. If you want energy and motivation, why would you focus on stillness? This is where most people get confused about Taoist teachings. They think stillness means inaction, that inner quiet means outer laziness. But the Taoists understood something that modern science is only beginning to discover. The deepest rest creates the most dynamic action. The most profound stillness generates the most powerful movement. Think of a cat before it pounces, or a spring that's been compressed before it releases. The more deeply you can rest into stillness, the more naturally and powerfully your energy will flow when it's time to move. Right now, as you listen to these words, are you in a hurry? Are you thinking about what you need to do next? Are you trying to rush through this information to get to the practical techniques? If so, you're experiencing exactly the kind of mental agitation that creates morning laziness. Your mind is so busy trying to get somewhere else that it can't settle into where you are right now. And this constant mental movement actually drains your energy instead of creating it. Here's what I want you to understand about Taoist morning transformation. It's not about doing more things. It's not about getting up earlier or drinking different kinds of coffee or following a more intense workout routine. It's about fundamentally changing your relationship with the experience of waking up. Instead of seeing morning as something you have to conquer or survive, you begin to see it as an invitation to dance with the natural energy that wants to flow through you. But this requires the fifth principle, which is perhaps the most challenging for modern minds to accept. You must surrender your agenda. I know this sounds scary. Your mind immediately starts protesting. But I have things to do. I have responsibilities. I can't just surrender my agenda. But here's what surrender actually means in the Taoist context. It doesn't mean becoming passive or giving up your goals. It means becoming so aligned with the natural flow of energy that your actions arise spontaneously from wisdom rather than being forced by willpower. When you wake up in the morning and immediately start thinking about your to-do list, you're actually creating resistance to the very energy you need to accomplish those tasks. Your mind gets caught up in the future. Your body feels the pressure of all those expectations, and your natural aliveness gets buried under a pile of shoulds and musts and have-tos. But when you wake up and first connect with the present moment, when you allow yourself to simply be awake without any agenda other than being fully present with the experience of waking up, something remarkable happens. Energy begins to flow naturally. Clarity arises spontaneously. Motivation emerges not as something you have to create, but as something you simply allow. This brings us to one of the most powerful concepts in Taoist philosophy, which is Wu Wei, or effortless action. Wu Wei doesn't mean inaction. It means action that arises so naturally from your inner wisdom that it requires no force, no struggle, no willpower. It's like the way a plant grows toward the sun, or the way water flows downhill. There's tremendous power and movement, but it all happens according to natural law rather than artificial effort. When you're experiencing morning laziness, you're in a state of yu wei, which means forced action. You're trying to make yourself feel energetic. You're trying to motivate yourself. You're trying to push through the resistance. And all of this trying creates more resistance, more tiredness, more of the very laziness you're attempting to overcome. It's like trying to force a flower to bloom faster by pulling on its petals. Not only doesn't it work, it actually prevents the natural blooming that wants to happen in its own time and in its own way. So how do you move from forced action to effortless action when it comes to your morning routine? This is where we encounter the sixth principle, which is harmonizing with natural cycles. Your body operates according to ancient rhythms that connect you to the earth, the sun, the moon, and the changing seasons. When you honor these rhythms, energy flows naturally. When you ignore them, you create the internal conflict that manifests as laziness and resistance. Have you ever noticed that you feel different in the winter versus the summer? That's not just because of the temperature or the length of the days. Your entire energy system shifts with the seasons, and if you're trying to maintain exactly the same morning routine in December that you had in July, you're working against powerful natural forces. The same principle applies to the daily cycle. The energy available to you at dawn is qualitatively different from the energy available at noon or at midnight. When you align your morning routine with the specific gifts of dawn energy, waking up becomes not a struggle against tiredness, but a graceful entry into the flow of the day. Dawn is the time of new beginnings, of fresh starts, of potential energy that hasn't yet been shaped by the activities and stresses of the day. In traditional Chinese medicine, dawn is associated with the element of wood, which represents growth, expansion, and the creative force of life itself. When you wake up and immediately check your phone or start thinking about problems you need to solve, you're disrupting this delicate wood energy before it has a chance to fully awaken. It's like stepping on a seedling just as it's beginning to sprout. But when you wake up and honor the wood energy by giving it space to expand naturally, you're working with forces that are far more powerful than your individual willpower. You begin to experience what the Taoists called the effortless effort, where tremendous things get accomplished through alignment rather than force. This is where many people start to get excited about the possibilities, and that excitement itself can become a trap. The seventh principle you must obey is patience with the process. Taoist transformation doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't follow the timeline your impatient mind wants it to follow. It unfolds according to its own organic rhythm, like the way seasons change or the way trees grow. You can't rush it, you can't force it, and you can't control it. But you can trust it, you can cooperate with it, and you can create the conditions where it naturally flourishes. I've worked with people who tried to apply Taoist principles to their morning routine and got frustrated after a week because they didn't see dramatic changes. They were still thinking like Western minds, expecting immediate results from specific techniques. But Taoism isn't a technique. It's a way of being, a fundamental orientation toward life that recognizes the intelligence of natural processes and learns to work with them rather than against them. When you've been fighting morning laziness for months or years, your system has developed deeply ingrained patterns of resistance. These patterns didn't form overnight, and they won't dissolve overnight, but they will dissolve naturally and effortlessly when you consistently practice the principles that restore your connection to your innate aliveness. The eighth principle is embracing paradox. Taoism is full of paradoxes that confuse the logical mind, but make perfect sense to the intuitive wisdom. To gain energy, you must first rest deeply. To move with power, you must first be completely still. To wake up fully, you must first accept exactly how you feel when you wake up, even if that feeling is tired or resistant or unmotivated. This acceptance is not resignation. It's not giving up or giving in to laziness. It's recognizing that resistance to what is creates more of what is. When you wake up feeling tired and immediately start judging yourself for feeling tired, you create internal conflict. Part of you is tired, and part of you is fighting the tiredness. And these two parts cancel each other out, leaving you feeling stuck and heavy. But when you wake up feeling tired and simply accept that tiredness as the starting point, without judgment or resistance, something interesting happens. The tiredness is no longer fighting against itself. It becomes simply information about your current state, and from that place of clear awareness, appropriate action can arise naturally. Maybe your body needs a few more minutes of rest. Maybe it needs gentle movement. Maybe it needs deeper breathing or hydration or connection with natural light. When you're not wasting energy fighting your current state, that energy becomes available to respond wisely to what's actually needed in this moment. This brings us to the 9th principle, which is cultivating sensitivity. Most people go through their mornings on autopilot, following the same routine regardless of how they actually feel or what their body actually needs. But Taoism teaches that every moment is unique, every morning is different, and true wisdom lies in responding freshly to what's actually happening rather than imposing a rigid plan on the fluid reality of life. This doesn't mean chaos. It doesn't mean having no routine at all. It means developing such sensitivity to the subtle energies of your body and mind that your routine becomes a flexible dance rather than a rigid structure. Some mornings, your body might need more movement. Some mornings, it might need more stillness. Some mornings, your mind might be naturally clear and focused. Other mornings, it might need more time to gradually awaken. When you develop this kind of sensitivity, your morning routine becomes a practice of attunement rather than a series of tasks to get through. You begin to notice things like the quality of your breath when you first wake up, the feeling of your body against the sheets, the particular kind of thoughts that are arising in your mind. These aren't just random experiences, they're information about how to work skillfully with your energy in this particular moment. The 10th and final principle is trusting the intelligence of the whole. Your morning laziness isn't happening in isolation. It's connected to what you ate yesterday, how you slept, what you were thinking about before bed, the season of the year, the phase of the moon, the quality of air in your bedroom, your relationships, your work, your dreams. Everything is connected in ways that your mind can't fully comprehend, but your deeper wisdom can sense and respond to. When you trust this intelligence, you stop trying to control your morning energy through force and start creating the conditions where natural energy can flow. You might discover that your morning laziness was actually your body's wisdom, trying to slow you down because you've been pushing too hard. You might realize that what you thought was lack of motivation was actually your intuition guiding you toward a different way of engaging with your day. This is the deep transformation that Taoism offers. It's not just about having more energy in the morning, though that will certainly happen. It's about rediscovering your natural rhythms, your innate aliveness, your capacity to flow with the intelligence of life itself. When you stop fighting your mornings and start dancing with them, you don't just wake up differently, you begin to live differently. The ancient Taoist masters understood something that our busy, driven culture has forgotten. True productivity, real accomplishment, lasting satisfaction. All of these arise not from forcing yourself to be energetic, but from aligning with the energy that's already flowing through you. Morning laziness is often just a symptom of disconnection from this natural flow. When you restore the connection through patience, sensitivity, and trust in the process, the laziness dissolves not because you've conquered it, but because you've stopped creating the conditions that were producing it. So tomorrow morning, when your alarm goes off, remember that you have a choice. You can approach your awakening as a battle to be won, a problem to be solved, a deficit to be overcome through willpower and caffeine and self-discipline. Or you can approach it as an invitation to participate in the ancient dance of energy and stillness, movement and rest, effort and grace that has been going on since the beginning of time. The Taoists would say that the energy you need is already there, waiting for you to stop blocking it with resistance and allow it to flow naturally. The motivation you're seeking is your birthright, as natural to you as breathing or the beating of your heart. The aliveness you want to feel is not something you need to create or achieve or earn. It's something you need to remember, something you need to allow, something you need to trust. If this resonates with you, if you're ready to transform your relationship with morning energy through the ancient wisdom of Taoism, I invite you to give this video a like and subscribe to our channel. We're building a community of people who are tired of forcing their way through life and ready to discover the power of flowing with the natural rhythms of existence. Your morning routine is just the beginning. When you learn to apply these principles to how you wake up, you'll find that the same wisdom transforms how you work, how you relate to others, how you handle stress, and how you navigate the challenges and opportunities of your daily life. This is the promise of the Taoist path, not just more energy in the morning, but a complete return to the effortless aliveness that is your true nature.